This episode of Around the Oval is brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. Hey, Ohio State fans, Alex Gleitman here, back with another edition of Around the Oval, brought to you by Todd Pennington with Revolution Mortgage on Buckeye Scoop. We have a commitment edition of the show this week, as I was going to say the newest Ohio State commit, but Terrence Brooks from down in Texas kind of stole the thunder of that a little bit. But the second newest Ohio State commit in running back, Dallan Hayden from Memphis, Tennessee. Christian Brothers. Dallan, congratulations on your commitment. Thanks for joining the show. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. And so, you decided to commit to Ohio State over schools like Notre Dame, over schools like your home state, Tennessee, where your dad played, Illinois, where your brother is. Obviously, you had a bunch of other offers, Oregon and many others. Let's first just easy question. What was it about Ohio State that made them the pick for you?
It's just, when I stepped foot on campus, my official visit, it just felt like home. Like, it just felt like that's the place. Like, I just knew, like, that was the place for me. Like, from a football standpoint, I don't think you can cut them. Like, you can't say anything negative about them, the academics. I just felt like it was the perfect fit for me. And they made me feel like a top priority.
And no doubt. And, you told me last time we did this, you were not committed, obviously. You told me you thought one school was kind of the way you were leaning a little bit, but you wanted to make sure, and you took your visits. I had a feeling Ohio State led for a while. Like, when did you know? I mean, I guess I would say, like, when did you have a pretty good feeling that Ohio State was going to be the school for you?
I'd say my second day official visit, I went over some offensive scheme things with Ryan Day, and we talked for like almost 2 hours, and no other head coach has done that with me. And I was like, this is where I need to be. And so that kind of closed the gap between other schools.
Yeah, and how close was it? I mean, a lot of people after your Notre Dame visit were saying, maybe Notre Dame, and then Ohio State obviously did a great job on the visit to lock you up. How close really was it, or was it not even kind of a doubt in your mind that it was Ohio State?
I mean, when I took my Notre Dame visit, I felt like they were kind of closing the gap. Like, I was like pretty even with both schools. But then when I took that Ohio State visit, I just felt like that was the place for me.
Yeah, you just knew it was home when you were there.
Yeah.
You just got that feeling that everyone talks about. And you're wearing the Zeke jersey. Obviously, Ohio State's got a great history of running backs. Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman winner. Eddie George, Keith Byers, Beanie Wells. I mean, obviously Zeke, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. I was going a little bit further back than J.K. before I got to. I mean, they've just always had great running backs, right? And so, I guess my question is, how important was that piece of it for you? Coach Alford's obviously worked with a number of great backs at Ohio State and even at Notre Dame before that, and his other stops. How big was it for you, the development that they've been able to do over time for running backs at your position?
I'd say that was probably one of the biggest pieces of why I chose Ohio State, to be developed by a guy like Coach Alford, who's been doing this a long time. And there are not too many running back coaches that are as good as him, in my opinion. I've been playing the game for a minute, and, my dad taught me everything I know about running back. And, I feel like nobody ever topped. Like, Coach Alford's the only one that's, just as good as my dad, in my opinion, when it comes to developing at the running back position.
Yeah, let's talk about your dad. I mean, two things I want to ask you just real quick. I guess you brought up your dad. So, I mean, he obviously went to Tennessee. I mean, I know your brother didn't go there. He was at Arkansas and then Illinois. But, how hard was that? I mean, growing up around the Vols and, just that whole like, it was just ingrained in your family and your blood growing up, right? You're in the state. I mean, how hard was it to say no to that program?
Man, I get that question a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say I love the state of Tennessee, of course. I grew up around Vol football pretty much my whole life due to both of my parents going there. But I mean, they really liked me, and I have respect for that program. But like at the end of the day, I just felt like I wanted to create my own legacy because, my whole life I've always been compared to my dad and my brother. So like, I've always wanted to be my own person and like create my own legacy.
Yeah, I completely get that. And, it seemed like your dad was just great about letting this kind of be your decision and being open-minded, which not every parent is like that. So that's awesome. The other question I was going to ask you is, when did you actually tell Coach Day, Coach Alford, that you were going to be a Buckeye? I know you announced, a little bit after that visit, but when did you tell them that you were going to be a Buckeye, and what was their reaction?
Told them Monday, and they were very happy. They were they were so excited, and they're like they've just been waiting for this day, like for the running back position in our
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, I know you're a guy that they've had at the top of the board from the jump. I know a lot of people maybe look at the rankings and they
Right.
don't really understand that.
Right.
But I know for a fact that Coach Alford and Coach Day and the entire staff has had you as that tier one guy since day one. So that was for sure a big get for them. I'm sure they celebrated a little bit that night after you told them. You talked about your official visit being so hard, being such a big part of this decision and kind of solidifying things for you. Everyone knows, the amazing dinners and the photo
Yeah.
shoots and all that. But tell us a little bit, like, what were you mentioned sitting down, chopping it up, scheme and all that with Coach Day. Like, what were the few highlights for you about the official visit that really stood out?
Man, just the people inside that facility, genuine people. They want you to be successful, and they always say their job is to make us successful on and off the field. And I'll tell you another thing that separated Ohio State from the other schools is their athletic director, Gene Smith. Had a really good conversation with him and my parents. He talked to us for 45 minutes, almost an hour. And not only just about the athletics, just about Ohio State, like overall, and like how that his door is always open for me to come talk to him. And like no other school I talked to the AD for like that. So that was a separator, I'd say.
Yeah, Gene's awesome. He's been there a while and he's a great guy. One of the more successful ADs in the country, if not the most successful. Um, I guess, you talked about scheme and all that. Tell us a little bit about what the staff has told you about how they plan to use you and why you feel you fit so well into the scheme that they run.
Well, at the high school I'm at right now, Christian Brothers, our offense is very similar to Ohio State's. Our run plays are like almost identical. So, like since day one, Coach Alford said when he watched my film that like he sees me fit in their offense perfectly, and yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny. A lot of us, all the fans always ask, who does he compare to and things like that. And like, look, we don't want to put that. We hope you're the next Dallan Hayden, right? Like, we don't want to
Right.
put
Yeah. I want to
the
be my
next
own.
Zeke
Yeah.
or whatever. But when you watch your highlights, at least, not having the full game film in front of us, I see what you're saying, and you almost see a little bit of J.K. Dobbins in the way that they run the stretch and the outside zone and the inside zone, and the way you're able to use your vision to kind of cut back and get to the hole. Do you think that's again, don't want to put the comparison on your head. I'm not saying, I'm sure you and J.K. have similarities and comparisons, but how do you feel about that comparison?
Man, I'd say it's pretty good. He's one of the best ever come through the program. So I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, a lot of fans are saying, on Twitter and stuff, I remind them of kind of Zeke and JK. A little bit more like my style is probably more like Zeke, but I mean, I'll take either comparison.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when it comes to on the field, what are the things that you feel you do well that you're going to be able to bring the program?
Feel like I'm always at full speed at all time. Feel like my vision is very good. I see stuff that you may not see. Feel like I'm always attacking. Feel like I'm always running violent. I always finish through contact forward.
Yeah, and the vision is one thing I saw for sure when watching the highlights. It's crazy, you find that hole and then for me, a big thing was like nobody's even touching you after that. It was you found the space and then you ran away from them. I mean, I always look for the running back and stuff. Are people catching them from behind and things like that? So that stood out to me. And then I thought your ability to showcase that you can bounce it outside and beat people around the edge with your speed, but also you weren't afraid to lower your shoulder and play physical on the inside. So I think Buckeye Nation's going to be really excited. And I think, some of the stuff you bring complements what, a Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor do really well. And I'm sure you won't mind splitting some carries with those guys, saving some miles and kind of being a three-headed monster for a couple of years before you take over the reins once they move on.
I feel like Ohio State, like with the talent they're bringing in, that we can be like Georgia, be the real RBU. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, for a while, obviously Coach Day's changed things a little bit with the vertical passing game and things like that. But Ohio State for a long time was known as what Woody Hayes used to say, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And they just pound the ball at you. And I think that they can get, obviously, why even put it in the air if you don't have to? And I think you guys, as you said, the offensive line they're putting together and the running back group, and obviously being able to throw it is good too, for balance and keep guys out of the box. So it's going to be exciting to watch you guys over the next, 3-4 years or so. Let's talk though a little bit about what you're bringing off the field. I mean, a lot of people, I've talked to you a few times, but a lot of people don't really know you all that well off the field. Tell us a little bit about, just the person you are, as a student athlete, guy in the locker room. Just tell us a little bit about that.
I feel like I'm just a great human being, one of the nicest people you'll meet off the field. Some people wouldn't get that. They assume I'm mean, but I don't think I'm mean at all. People say I'm very energetic, funny, like bring a lot of energy. And like people just say I'm like a great guy to be around.
Yeah, well, that's definitely an impression I got. So I'm sure that will be a welcome addition to the locker room. I know Ohio State, they don't only look at the film and the player, they look at the type of person. They're not trying to, they're trying to bring in good culture people. That's really, really important to them. So, I think if you get an offer from Ohio State and they're willing to take you, that says a lot about the character, especially under Coach Day. So before I get to my last question, I'll ask you, we talked about the things you do really well and the type of person you are. What are some of the things you feel like you need to improve on before you get to Ohio State to be ready to excel at the next level?
Feel like I could get better. I do a good job of making linebacker miss, and I can make secondary defenders miss, but I feel like I could get way better at that. Not saying I'm bad at it, but I feel like I can get better at that. Feel like I can always get faster, I run track to improve my speed. Feel like I've gotten faster than I was last year. I didn't have a track season last year, so I'm always improving that, always getting stronger. I'm just trying to and I feel like I can improve in the passing game a little bit more.
Yeah, those are all good things to work on. I'm sure, as you said before we got on here, once season's over and you sign your letter of intent, I know you won't be enrolling early, but and get the chance to work with those guys on campus. But, I know Coach Mick, they'll be sending you a playbook and they're going to be sending you a nice detailed workout plan.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So drills and working out and getting you in shape so that when you get up there and whatever it is, late May, early June next year, you're ready to hit the ground running. Last thing I'm going to ask you, you mentioned it before, just the class and the program that Ohio State's building. I mean, you guys have an incredible class for 2022. It has the chance to be the best ever in school history. Number one consensus across the board at this point. It just seems like, every week you guys are getting stronger. I know you're joining this thing in the middle to the back end of it. I'm sure you've had the chance to build relationships with some of the guys. Just wanted to know who what your relationship, I guess, is with the guys in the class already. And then if you're going to be someone who kind of puts on your recruiting hat and tries to get some other guys to join you in Columbus.
Yeah, I feel like I'm tight with a lot of these guys, probably say Bennett Christian, CJ Hicks, Quinn Ewers, actually, me and him pretty cool. Caleb Burden, Keon Graves. So yeah, I feel like feel like we're really cool, like already.
Yeah, it's cool. You and Bennett actually, I mean, have a lot in common. I mean, his family he's a Vols family too, and
Yep.
he ended up picking Ohio State. Did you guys talk about that a lot during the process?
Well, actually, Bennett was kind of the one. Him and CJ were really the main recruiters. Recruited me, because Bennett, he felt like he wanted to recruit me because my dad played at UT just like his, so he kind of took me under his wing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, I'm sure, I know for him it was a really tough decision. So I'm sure being able to talk to him about that type of stuff and why he picked Ohio State, kind of carve his own path, helped a little bit for you. And the other question is, now that you're in, is there anyone out there that you're trying to help recruit?
Yeah, I've been recruiting. I've been recruiting some linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need those guys, right?
Yeah, so because they're gonna
Addison
be
Nichols.
for me.
Addison Nichols is another guy with those, his grandparents live in Knoxville.
Him. Yep.
All right. Well, you got him, you got Ernest Green, you got Cam Dewberry,
George Fitzpatrick, Billy Straw.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of them in there. Yeah. So it's going to be, I think out of that group, they're going to get, 3 or 4 of those guys. And with what they already have.
Feeling.
Yeah, with what they already have.
We go get some linemen for sure.
Yeah, you're right. That should be you and Quinn. That should be your guys' number 1 priorities.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate the time. I want to be mindful of it. I just want to congratulate you again. We're really excited. You're a part of Buckeye Nation, and we're going to get to cover you the next, obviously, this year, senior year, high school, and then 3, 4, maybe 5 years. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're off to the NFL and get your degree before that. But again, best of luck to you. And, we're really excited to have you in Columbus.
I am too. Glad to be here. Go Bucks.
This episode of Around the Oval was brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. If you've been thinking about refinancing or buying a house, check out our sponsor, Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. They offer low rates for refinancing and home purchase loans, including first-time home buyer programs, down payment assistance, and cash-out home equity loans. Check out revolutionmortgage.com/tpennington.